Hi, Joe.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing? Hi, hello.
Very well, thanks very much. How are you? Hello, everybody else.
Hello, everybody else.
Welcome to this is the sixth session, which is going to be a short session. Well, we think it might be short at the moment, it might be long, but today's going to be more about experimentation and how you, the viewer, have fed back into the program. So we've had a few comments along the way, and we've had some work that we've seen that other people have made, and today we're going to just react to that in a quite experimental way. We're not sure whether some of these things are going to work or not, but we'll see how we go, and hopefully you will too at home when you've watched this session. It's just a chance to take on everything you've seen and learned over the past few weeks and letting you just applying to that yourself and going your own way, and then hopefully feeding back with that back into a public house project with your ideas.
Wonderful. That sounds good to me, Tom. We've both been playing around, haven't we, already? And there's a few nice things that we've got on our tables here. So somebody mentioned the notion of stitching pieces together, perhaps. And I've been having a little playing around with making things like this, which look really complex, but they are really not. They're just the same components that you've all been making. I mean, it's probably the same component that you made in the first session, but it's just there's just a tidy way of connecting them together to produce bigger things.
Yeah, that's a good example of the tessellation we were talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
If you hold it up again, you can see how the patterns continue themselves.
Yeah, and it's almost just allowing, there's another one there, almost just allowing the, there's almost no design in that. The material, it just kind of does it itself. So I don't know if, Tom, you said you were going to try a really big one, because that was another comment as well, wasn't it?
Yes, someone else mentioned, they said, how big can you go? And we were like, well, I don't really know. So we could try a really, really big one to start with, just a simple dish or like a platter type thing.
I think that'd be really good. That'd be great. So as big as your record,
yes,
shall we say?
Yeah.
So Tom, because I've got a fixed bit of wood here, perhaps if you think you're going to be able to go quite wide, maybe I should go big, as in I should go as high as the wire.
Okay.
So we'll do two big ones. You go wide and I'll go high or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So for my really wide one, I just picked this bit of clay up. It's this size. I'm just going to roll it out. As you say, we haven't really planned this, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to kind of see if I can get something big. This is as big as I've been before, that kind of size. I'll try going a little bigger. There's no reason in theory why you couldn't go bigger, is there, Joe?
No, like you could go out, if you went outside, you could stand up and walk around a big table, a round table. I can't see any reason why the physics would change or anything. It would just be a case of getting it off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you'll probably end up peeling the top bit away. That'll be the scrap, revealing the like a flat base that has the texture on it. Do you think?
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd like something probably thicker than that. I've probably taken that too thin. But we'll see what happens. So I've got the kit and I've got the, what's it called? A screw. This is pretty much the same size as the disc. So I'm just going to plop that on.
I've got.
I think I'm going to
because we're quite far along. I've been trying to use the same clay every week, and mine it really is quite firm now. It's dried out quite a bit. So I think that's probably going to be quite good for this, doing quite a high one, because I think the firmness will help it keep form. I reckon. We'll see though.
Yeah, I think that's a nice point, Jerry. In fact, that the 6-week course thing has gone with a bag of clay, and we've all had a bag of clay to go with during that time, and seeing the differences, so that our clay will have been at the same consistency that other people's clay would have been. Slipping into clay talk there, Joe. So I'm going to my wire is just sticking out the side of this record. This is another thing that appeared to me, which other people feeding back, because Joe, you said something about someone who was really into the records, and someone was using a record.
Yeah, Kate.
to make their work on. So yeah, I'm going to just go. You can see that in a little bit. I'm going to try and go in the middle of the disc. Again, I'm just bouncing my finger just to give that ripple effect. And turning it around when it becomes uncomfortable. And go again. There we go. Try not to apply too much pressure on the top, so in case we refuse the clay back together again once it's been cut.
That can happen. I've witnessed it.
Is that what you call it, refused, Joe?
Yeah, I guess it's refusing, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. So in the middle of there, we should have, I'm not going to bring the wire up or down, just going to kind of leave it there and see what happens. This is where you've got to be careful.
Ooh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's quite big.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
I'd like to fire that and see what noises that made if you played it with a record player.
Yeah.
But the question is, what do you do with that? So what we could do with that is find something like a big dish, maybe, just to rest it on.
Tom, I wonder if you
could like.
Tom, I really like your little trick where you take a segment out in order to create a cone. That could work quite well with that, couldn't it?
Yeah. Or you could roll out some clay. Like so. Everyone should try this. It's really satisfying. Rolling out clay on a flat surface. Create sausages. If you had a sausage long enough, you could literally just lift that up, plop it underneath, just to give yourself a bit of a raised edge.
Create a vessel.
Or the way you did it, Joe, with like, what do you call them? Fronds or something?
Beads.
Yeah. Or if you had like a wooden salad bowl, or even, do you think a normal dish would work? It probably wouldn't stick to it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to place it on top like so. So that's on top of a bowl. I'm just going to tap in the middle. Move it in a bit so it doesn't split.
Yeah, that's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to tease the edges up.
I've got a kebab, doner kebab thing here, Tom. So I've made a super hard chunk, and it's
Yeah.
I'm going to see how steep a one I can do here.
Just before you start, Joe, I'll just say that this one, that I'd just leave that now. So we've created a bowl as big as you can get. I'm just going to leave that to go leather hard, and then I can tip it out. So how long would you leave that in a normal room, Joe, until it was manageable?
Half a day to it. Probably, definitely tomorrow, you would be able to take that out, and it would be like cheddar, and really you'd be able to handle it, and it wouldn't distort, but you'd still be able to work into it.
Yeah,
So,
and you could take it out slightly before then when it was still a little bit plastic but holds its form.
Yeah.
And then you've got a way of like just kind of tapping it on a surface to get a little flat bottom so it doesn't rock around.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
So that works. That was quite good.
I've got quite a high one on the go here, and I'm going to do 2 cuts. So what am I going to do here? Bear with me. I'm just trying to work out. So I'm going to go relieve the outside bit, and then I'm going to see if I can cut a cavity out of it in the middle. So I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's go round. I can't think what this one's like, Tom. Is it like the Christmas tree? No, it's slightly different. So yeah, I've ended up like with a version of the Christmas tree. I was thinking I could, I don't know what.
Yeah, but the bit in the middle's like a kind of vase.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a messy job because I wasn't thinking about what it was, but that's okay. It's important to do that sometimes.
Yeah, with that, you've got the inside is really good and the outside
Yeah.
is kind of rough. But that's probably a good way to lead on to the next. We were thinking about doing some more courses, and one of the things we were thinking about making is a simple pinch pot. I'll just show them, Joe. Bear with me. So next idea for a course we want to do, or just a workshop, is making a pinch pot out of a round piece like this. We did some tests on this, didn't we, Joe, where you squash your finger in and then kind of mold it into the shape of a bowl. It's that easy. A little bit more work than that. Not a bowl, a vase with like a tight neck. And then you leave that to go leather hard. Yeah. So we could leave that to go leather hard, Joe. And then once it is leather hard, you go at it with a knife and you get this like effect on the outside. So when it's leather hard, what I did with this was just do cuts, really rough.
So what you mean is, Tom, in the inside you end up with that.
Yeah.
And then on the outside you deal with that when it's more leather hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
We could do that in the tutorial, Joe, if you leave that to dry.
In which case, what I'm doing here now, because I've got the seam was there where I came out with the wire. I guess you could fuse it together with some of the slip that you'll have learned to make.
Yeah.
So fuse that together and then leave it to go leather hard. So yeah, we'll see that in the tutorial. I'll wrap it so it doesn't dry out too much.
Yeah. So like you were saying, I've just been thinking about another way to do this, Joe.
Yeah.
Whether there's a way we could get some sort of cup. I think there is.
By manipulating it.
Yeah, this is very soft, but I could let this go a little bit hard. But this is what we want everyone to do, is just kind of experiment. So I'm just laying, sorry, can you see? I've got this, which was the underside. So what I thought about doing is lifting it up, creating a cup bowl shape with that bit, gluing that together. I'll just try that now. My slip's not very good. Bad workman and all that.
My slip doesn't match my clay, Tom, today.
So I'm just going to glue that on like so. I'd say you can let this go a little bit harder. So I'm ruining the definition by using my fingers.
Tom, what I'd like to see that as, a cowl, a wall light, kind of feels quite good for that, doesn't it? That process.
Yeah.
For producing some.
So what I'm gonna. Sorry, Joe.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
No, I was just saying, I'm thinking quite a lot about wall lights at the moment because we need some in the house, and that would lend itself very well to that application.
So what I think I might do here is just cut across there in kind of a straight line from the bottom, and then in theory, if I can get that to stand like so, you have a cup. Needs some work, but it is the very first one. But I'll leave that to go leather hard and then maybe have a mess with it, bring it out in the next tutorial. Could work. It's good because the handle actually supports it. What are you on with, Joe?
I was just, I wondered,
the same thing.
Because what I liked with the big one, because you end up with two in a way.
Yeah.
You could do it so you end up with two. I wonder if those two could work together some way to produce something, is what I was thinking. I I don't know how. Maybe people can try that. The fact that you've got two, can you use two in combination with one another to do something clever? I don't know. Sorry.
But it's good. And like I say, when it goes dry, you could redress this edge to make it a bit nicer. But I'll leave that now and pop it over on a board to dry. It's kind of ugly, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Normally the things I make start off ugly, and then the next one I try a little bit harder and a bit more neater. Once you've got the process, you know what's happening, and by the third one, you're pretty, you're usually quite good at it, or it's presentable. So we'll put that on one side. Soap dishes, good example. Where am I? Keep forgetting I'm being filmed. Yeah, soap dishes. So that's one of the products we've been making. And at the start of this tutorial process thing, my daughter wanted to know how to make them. So I gave her a quick demo, showed her how to make one. And then she made one from a normal stack. So it was a circular block, like so. Slightly rounded on the bottom. Like that. And her first one, she was quite wild, quite into it. So that was her first one. Which is quite nice for your first go at a ceramics thing. We've fired this. Ella chose the glazes on it. But what was interesting is the second one. Normally you would, that's the bottom one, so you take that off, and then you put the next one on, and you do another one. But and you get like a soap dish out. And we're constantly telling people, and they bring the wire out, take the wire through, and do the cut, and then the wire comes back exactly through the same point. Well, Ella did that, and she went round, and she got to the point where you're supposed to stop and go down, but she just carried on. I was like, "Whoa, what are you doing? You've gone past the mark." And she said, "I was really enjoying it. I didn't want to stop." I was like, "Oh," but interestingly, that little bit, and then she went away and she took it apart and messed around with it, glued it on there, and it creates this kind of attractive little handle thing, like a divide in the middle. I really quite like it. It's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I think it's good.
That's like the second thing someone who's not really worked with clay at all can make. And you might think things look a bit glum when they're clay, but when they're fired, they take on, I don't know, can you explain that, Joe? When something becomes very hard,
yeah,
it kind of changes the way you feel about it.
Metamorphosis occurs, doesn't it? And it becomes, yeah, you're right. It's hard to quantify or explain.
Yeah, so we thought we might have a go. Should we have a go at that, Joe?
Yeah.
Not stopping where we should, not taking our own advice. And this is another example of how we want people to feed back into the whole Farmers Arms Public House project, is taking what we've shown them and adding to it and doing their own bit to it and then feeding it back in. And hopefully that's how good design will occur. Bigger or smaller, about the same. Again, we can do the whole clay prep thing. I'm going to explain what you're doing with the clay prep, Joe.
What's that? Say that again, Tom.
You want to explain what you're doing with the clay prep thing? Just to
yeah, just the same.
iron it home.
Compressing it. Sorry, I'm lost it a bit today.
It's all those sausages. So I'm going to go with just a cylindrical block, exactly the same way I do all the soap dishes. We'll start with a cylinder. Mine's not very good, so I'm just kind of evening it out a little bit. I'm just rolling it on a flat surface. You got a cylinder, Joe?
I have, yeah, I've got a cylinder.
I'm just squashing that down to make the cylinder a little bit chunkier. So, wire. Again, for this one, the screw head is 5 millimeters above the surface. But then again, this is kind of up to you. Try it at different heights, see what happens. Try it totally down to the surface. Maybe try a really, really big screw and do things the other way up and take things off the top. Go and then, if Ella did it, Joe, you have a go. Not going back to the line.
All right, okay.
So we need to do the first one first. So that kind of centrally on, looking down from on top to get a gauge. I'm going to make this one quite wild.
So I've done the bottom one, Tom. Is that what you do?
Just like normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what we've told everyone to do: is go back down the slot, lift off that one, and that's your first dish. And again, we can just manipulate it back in, just to get rid of. But often they're quite good, just the way they come out. So I'm just going to leave that one now. I could glue that together with some slip, like so. Tidy up the hole maybe, or put a piece in to make it an actual dish. We've done that bit, haven't we, Joe?
Yeah. So what are we doing now, Tom? Sorry.
Well, I thought we'd try and go put it back on gently.
Yeah.
And then go around, kind of following loosely the marks you've done.
Yeah.
Then when you get to that bit where you're supposed to stop and bring it back down again, carry on another like half turn.
All right, okay.
And slightly peter it out. So I'm going to go up. Again, being quite...
So almost as if you're spiraling, Tom, eh? But
You are. So yeah. So I got to this point, and this is where Ella went, oh, I don't want to go back down there. I'm enjoying myself so much. I'm just going to keep going round. So I'll keep going round for a bit. So I get, I think, halfway round. I'm going to go down there, and then I'm going to bring it back to that void in there. Try and take that one off. Now what do I do? Got quite a big thing there. Then I think all I did was literally do that.
I went further, Tom, as well.
That's quite good. Got a bit of mess in the bottom. Take that out. So you could go. Yes. Interesting.
I kind of went a little bit further, and yes, it kind of spiraled to a bit, but yeah. So I've messed the whole thing up now.
Yeah, I have as well. It's just a case point that sometimes, often with things you do, it is the very first one that ends up being like the best when you're not thinking about it. We're not trying to do something. For some reason that worked. for some reason, mine's a bit of a mess, bit too big and clunky. But you know, you could pick it up. You could have nuts in one side and something else in the other side. You could have one's got a hole. One you could have like liquid things in. If you went a little bit bigger, you could have, you know, tortillas and dips or something.
Chip and dip.
Yeah. Or Joe, what do you think about the idea of actually just keeping going? Doing what would happen if you just started with a column and then just went in a spiral?
Well, that's kind of like what I tried there, Tom. I went right to the top with that. I went look there. I did as much, and you end up with, it's just, you do end up with a spiral, like a shaving, but it's just quite hard to sort of, you know, like reckon with and to handle.
Yeah, could you not like lay on its side and then gradually?
Yeah, or pull it out, Tom, into like a continuous ribbon would be quite good. But I think you're sort of asking a lot of the material. But
yes,
I think like it'd be nice to see people explore that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Kind of the way forward. Experiment with what you've got and feed it back to us, and hopefully we can make more things. What's your favorite thing that's been developed throughout this process?
Oh,
Joe?
definitely. It's nice to see something that was a starting point be tried by lots of people. I've just enjoyed different people doing things like getting involved with what we're doing, Tom. So almost like I don't think I've got a favourite thing, but it's just nice to see. What I like about it is that people are doing it, which is great.
Yeah.
So I know.
That's nice.
Have you got
any products in particular that you're pleased with, the things you made? You make it and you think, oh, that works.
I like the. I'm excited to see this move forward a bit. I think this has got some potential. These I'm calling them mirrors. They haven't got a mirror in them, but they could have a mirror in them. I like.
Yeah, you go with the mirror.
I quite like
a bit like pineapple slices in a tin.
Yeah.
Stuck together.
I like the sort of grotesqueness of them. Really, they're kind of like Medusa-like, aren't they? Or
yeah.
Elsa said they were like, you know, Ursula out of The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah.
They look a bit like her mirror. So I kind of like that kind of. It's almost like anti-design, isn't it? Sort of grotesque appearance.
Yeah, you can make quite a nice hat out of it.
So I think I think with a lot of stuff, Tom, my favourite is always the one that is like the most kind of current, I guess, and then it kind of will become not, and then the next thing will, and it's like, I guess that striving for to discover something new means that it's always whatever is the most recent thing, perhaps. How about you, Tom?
Yeah. For me, I think it might be like, I quite like simple things, and some of these things are quite not simple and quite over the top. But I quite just like the simple soap dish. But that was only come across because through the work of experimentation and going through all the ridiculous things
and doing hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a simple soap dish. I think it's visually quite good.
Yeah.
And achievable by anyone, hopefully.
Yeah,
and that's another Grisel Arts thing, is where things should be like achievable in like less than 15 minutes by anybody. But there's a big but, desirable as well, so saleable. And I think we've got that with these.
Yeah. You could probably do 20 in 15 minutes now.
Yeah, I think you could. So that's good. So I think that's why I'm pleased with that one.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. I think that also is a really nice thing. And in its dish, in its non-soap form as well, in its little kind of ramekin form as well.
Yeah, definitely for like edible things.
Yeah.
And feeding birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good. Hope you've all enjoyed watching what we've done.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it.
Let's say this,
We will
we will do others.
Yeah,
This one was quite restrictive because we were restricted to doing things just with a wire. But the next ones will continue the theme of simple things for other people to have a go at and then develop into the program. So as I say, pinch pots might be next.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do next, Joe?
Pinch pots would be good. There's a few other things I don't know that we have been developing, which we have like hundreds of things, haven't we, that we've started and we need to come back to. I'd quite like to revisit the bamboo mats in some
Yes.
And glazing as well.
And actually, glazing as well, but also it doesn't have to be pottery.
Yeah, of course.
There's also woodwork things, and we're also thinking about textiles as well and bags.
Yeah, nice.
So watch this space. We'll advertise it through the normal ways, and hopefully see you all soon.
See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.